Good morning. Thanks for having me. It's great to see you all. So, I've had the great privilege now to work with two governors on the topic most important to you all in this room. And I can tell you, both for Governor Polis and for Governor Hickenlooper, this unprecedented use of the general fund to advance the priorities of the water plan is really important to both of them. So we're pretty excited that this budget could accommodate that. And it's tough, right? We live in a world of constrained resources. There isn't a lot of funding out there. We're repaying the state back from all the fire funding, from the big cost this summer. So there are a lot of priorities out there, and I just wanted to pass along from each of the governors what a really important, how important your work is in their eyes. So I think I was selected as budget director not just because I love numbers, and I do, I'm really happy in a spreadsheet, but I served as director of state operations under Lieutenant Governor and Chief Operating Officer Donna Lynn, and was able to travel the state to see with her. She hit every county in her first year in office, and I did a lot of that travel with her. We're in the Eastern Plains and the mountain regions and seeing the impact of state operations on the people who live here and the businesses trying to thrive in our state. And water comes up in every conversation. It's, as you all know, because you've been doing this work, but able to see the state impact in action, whether it's protecting watershed over in the Eastern Plains, or that would be DNR, or with Dora that's inspecting a local rancher's water pump on their tiny little stream in their yard, or assessment of the reclamation from a mine. You know, they're just seeing these things in action, and the impact drives home the importance in a real way of where we allocate our budget dollars, of the important impact we can have, the unintended consequences we can have, et cetera. So I'm looking forward to continuing to bring that lens to this job, and listening to you all as stakeholders about the impact of our state and our state's budget on your work. So how is the budget looking? We had a forecast in December where that was continued to be strong. The economy continues to be strong. But there, you know, of course, there are risks out there, and we're now in the second longest expansion period in history, and so we all have our ears to the ground trying to detect if there might be a downturn coming up. And I imagine people in this room are still remember well the impacts of the last recession. In fact, the cuts we had to make in 2009 as a state were just now, this fiscal year, when you adjust for inflation and population growth, we're just now climbing back to those 2009 levels. There's a graph on the November 1 budget that shows this. So, you know, I've heard a lot of you as stakeholders have felt that. You know, you felt that pinch from the state and the tightening of resources over the last years. And analytically, it plays out. Like what you're experiencing has played out because we're just now climbing back to where we were. But even in good economic times, I think the stakeholders in this room see a lot of up and down because of the funding connected with the severance tax and its inherent volatility. As you grow production, add credits, the credits drop the revenue, and the revenue's back up. So, you know, just from our December forecast, I'm looking, you know, year to year, you've got fluctuations of 40 to 30% up and down every year due to the structure of that funding mechanism. And that's a very hard volatility to work with, to plan with. It's a concern my team's looking into. I know it's a concern for a lot of you in this room. And it's one of the reasons why we made the general fund commitment this year when we were able to. So Doug asked me what this group can do for me, and I thought that was, nobody ever asked the budget director how they can help you. They always ask, here's my problem, help me solve it. So anyway, I was thrilled to get that question, and I'll offer a shout out here, which is that because we live in a world of constrained resources, it does feel like a competition. Education, transportation, water infrastructure, broadband infrastructure, transportation infrastructure. And what Governor Polis really wants to do is to bring the tables together. He wants to lead on long-term fiscal reform. He wants to help find a solution that works for all the state's needs and find a solution that the voters will approve. So he's appointed an unprecedented position. He is a senior advisor on long-term fiscal health. That's Carrie Kennedy, and she's working hard at it every day. Our whole team is. This is critically important to the governor to lead on this area. And so my ask for you is to try and put the competition aside and help come together to broker a solution that could work for us statewide and meet all the needs. I think it's tough to do, but if we engage all our business stakeholders, if we're separately, the education folks are out engaging business stakeholders on the needs for education, and then separately, the broadband interests are out engaging our business and community stakeholders on the needs for broadband, and then separately, the water stakeholders are out engaging the business and community on the needs for water. I think maybe there's something we can do as a team if we pool resources and think about our state's long-term fiscal health and all the needs together. So we're welcoming you at that table and inviting a collaborative conversation, which I know from the water plan you all have demonstrated you're leaders in the state at being collaborative and working with diverse and multiple interests already. So we should probably follow your path and your structure and lead on this, because you have a lot to tell the state about collaborative efforts. So I'll take a couple questions if anyone has any, and then I wanted to leave you with a story. No budget questions? Okay. Well, if you think of one, you can email me, just lauren.larson@state.co.us. And the story I wanted to leave you was about toilets. So one of my many jobs I've had in my career was oversight of a couple dozen regulatory boards, including the plumbing board here in Colorado. And the water plan was in its just drafted, doing the rollout stage, so really big time. And the plumbing board was about to take an action to just shut down the use of reclaimed water in toilets. And then there was another issue around labeling on such toilets. And anyhow, what the story I wanted to tell you was the transformation of that board that first looked at the water plan as something they should fight against, because it was going to put at risk what they held near and dear. And then I watched how your advocates, the leaders of the water plan and the folks that came in, how they didn't come in and charge and say, you're wrong, this is more important, you must do this, but they listened to the concerns of the plumbing board and help them get to yes. And I just thought about the obstacles you've already faced in this room of, that was just one little example of stakeholders that didn't understand what's at stake with the work you're working on. You're trying to save the state from a catastrophic water shortage, and that should change the rules of the game. That should be preeminent in everyone's mind, but it's not a crisis, it's not right now. And so what do you face when you're out there dealing with your stakeholders? People who don't understand, or they're not thinking that it's so important, or they're like, somebody else will deal with that down the road. And so I just want to commend you for tackling that uphill climb in what I think must be dozens, hundreds of conversations that you've had as you advance your work, and to just say, let me know how the state can help you continue, and to continue in this collaborative mindset, which is that, okay, I know this is the 100th time, but I'm still going to sit down and listen and meet you where you are, and figure out how I can help you understand the urgency and the importance of this issue. I just bet that gets really old and really hard, and I wanted to share that story to tell you how impressed I was with the approach of this collaborative effort. So that's all. Hope you have a wonderful morning. Thank you for inviting me. Hope you'll have me back. Thank you.
Great. Please, thank you, Lauren.